وانا كاسا مانتا halkaasaan joognaa kaalaya Soomaaliya kaalaya
We are here today to celebrate the beautiful life of Bashar Masari. Before I dive in too deep in my speech, I just want to acknowledge the people Bashar lived with.
Thank you.
To
All
his
right, I
loving
will.
and caring mother, I'm so sorry that you had to say goodbye to your son in this way. To his brother, you were there for your brother in so many ways. You set the bar high for all siblings in America today. I don't know what I would have done if I was you. When I was asked to speak here today, I was shocked, honored, and yet scared. I didn't think I was capable enough to deliver a message worthy enough for this situation. I had seen and
Thank you
heard
for
of
your support.
incidents like this. I mean, who hasn't? Trayvon Martin, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland, just to name a few. They were all black lives that were unlawfully taken and turned into a hashtag over the years. However,
Shargray.
was unlike them.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Bashar lived right here
Thank you.
in Anchorage,
Thank you
Alaska,
for your support.
just like I do today. I couldn't fathom that this horrific tragedy took place less than 3 miles away from my home. While I watched this video, so many questions came to my mind. Like, why are there 3 cops stopping one man? Isn't Bashar showing them that he has a weapon on him? That is the lawful thing to do. Wasn't his palms up? His finger was not on the trigger. Why are there 3 cops who are in bulletproof vests
Shargray Soomaaliya Shargray.
shooting at this one man? How could they shoot this man numerous times and then have the nerve to tell him to roll over? Why is it taking them so long to give him medical attention? And like any other intrigue team, I continued my research by rewatching the video and reading articles that were posted about it.
Why they
While
going
reading
that
the
far?
articles, I learned about why the interaction even took place. Bashar was simply profiled, not only because of his race, but as well as his mental health disorder.
No
I then
problem.
watched the video over a couple more times,
He backed out.
and more questions came about.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't the dispatcher...
baabuurkaana soo baxay xagga uga kala leexda saa uga kala leexda baabuurkaana soo baxay dhinacaana u soo bata
if they were supposed to just ask him a few questions? It seemed like the more information that I was finding out,
Soomaaliya Shargray barnaamijkan Shargray waa kaasaa wiilkiyaan u doodayna u dacwoonaynay
it came with
miskar hadduu una kayga ahayn
Anchorage had failed their job. Their duty is to protect and serve their people. In that video, I didn't see the...
bahalkaanaytu markaa qabatiin bilis Soomaalida u sheega falaayarada markay hayaan kor ha u qabtaan saas hadaa iska dhahdi waaye asma dadkii islaamiyada asas u haay u sheeg habarre
on his back for minutes after being shot numerous
waa kana Soomaaliya wiilkeeni
receiving any attention. And the attention he was given was not proper at all. If there is nothing you can take here from today,
Madam,
know that
hi.
Bashar
Good, Missouri. Alhamdulillah, wallahi Allah la struggle لكن من بي من تكن
living
Yes, please.
in America.
Thank you. Like, yeah, I took away all my children and I went through a lot of problems and you know now I'm in jail. I'm in house arrest. You cannot imagine. Just call me. I can let you know a lot of information.
In order for all lives to matter, Black lives
Tell her,
must
please.
be included. Although he is no longer with us today, he has had an impact on so many lives and others. May his spirit and soul continue to
Soomaaliya
shine upon us.
waa kaasa wiilkii loo
Moving
bannaan
forward,
baxaya.
I want not only the Anchorage Police Department, but the
I become the
entire
YouTuber.
community to learn more
I'm in
about
house
mental
arrest now.
disabilities in Anchorage. About 52.9 million people in America suffer from mental illnesses. In Alaska, there are over 43,000 people who
Share.
have mental illnesses. There needs to be more training on lawful arrest, mental disorders, and protocol for what to do when a citizen makes it known that they are armed for a policeman. I encourage everyone here today to spread the knowledge they obtained today and use it to make a difference. Change will not come to those who just talk about it, only to those who take it upon action. May Bashar Hassan rest in peace and continue to unite the citizens of Anchorage. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure to invite the next speaker, speaker that knew Bashar and was there on his last day. So I'd like to invite Imam Amin Abdul Jalil to say a few words.
Sorry. All right.
I knew Bashar for a short amount of time, and in knowing him, I know that it was a misunderstanding that happened because of the training that the system is giving out, because there's no compassion in it. Because anytime you can shoot an individual and then tell an individual after you have been trained to fatally shoot an individual, you tell the individual to roll over, then there's no compassion. So when there's no compassion in the training, then there could be no justice in the training. So over and over throughout the country, we keep seeing these things happen over and over. Because the thing that needs to change first and foremost is the approach to the training. Because if I'm trained to shoot to kill, that means there can be no mistake nowhere. And it was a big mistake made. Even though as Muslims we believe that everything is under the decree of Allah. And no day has passed and another day has come. But if there was more compassion in the training, then maybe this and that we wouldn't be here today. So we're calling for more compassion in the training of the police force in Anchorage, Alaska, as well as all over the world. So in compassion, we're calling for the body cams to tell the story that the dash cam does not show. We can at least get that.
Please Soomaaliya shargareeyaan barnaamijkan waa u jeediin dhibaatada jirta meeshan silac iyo wareerkana haysto meeshana lagu wada dhimanayaa. Thank you. Thank for your support.
I'd like to invite the family of Bashar. And I'd like to say that this is hard for me because this space also reminds them of not only Bashar but what happened on that day. So just to be aware of that. And so now I'd like to invite
Sophia.
a speaker from the family.
Thank you. I'd like to say some last minute things. I'd like to say that thank you for coming here today to support us. And I would like to say that every lives matter, that as African American, our lives, specifically for the target, that it goes. Not only for sure for today, but there's young men that have been killed every city in the United States. Person of color. And I would like to recommend that everyone has to understand the value of human beings. As all of us, we have different skins, different languages, different backgrounds, but we all human. That has high price. And it's so sad that I know the show. He was froze. I mean, it hurts every time I remember time that has been with him. So hard also to see those who wear the uniform of the government taking the lives of innocent people and not understanding that they need to protect every single person that lives in Anchorage, Alaska. They shouldn't be treated the way they're supposed to. They shouldn't be treated the way they did, and it was wrong. They need to understand that Bashar needed everything that they have to protect him. But they shouldn't protect him. They take his life like he was a less human being. Right after they shot him, they didn't bring any medical operation. They watched him till he passed away. I believe that by the time he get in the hospital, he was dead. I don't really understand why they keep shooting when he was on the ground. They need to know they have a power to protect every one of us, but not to use that power to take our lives. Thank you for coming here. Thanks for supporting. Thank you.
No, he can't film that.
Hello everyone. Today is really sad day for me and for the people in Anchorage. And thank you for coming. Thank you all of you for coming out today. Thank you for supporting my brother Bashar and our family. We thank for you from the bottom of our heart. We thank you for helping to shine the lights in this dark moment. We will not give up. Today we can fight. More justice America, more just America, more justice Alaska, and more justice Anchorage. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're about to close out, but
I just seen this. I just say two sad words.
But I
She
do
say no.
want to say thank you for being here. This is a tough situation, and as I listen to the family, and we have been meeting weekly for a while now, and just hearing, how the mother is dealing with this situation. We all know, moms are our ultimate gift. And to have this situation is hard, and I just thank you for sharing those words and for allowing this community to stand with you as we fight for justice, not only for Bashar Hassan, but justice for our community and our state. And so, yes.
Thank you, Celeste. As people know, and the public record reflects that has challenged the things that were done to Bashar. However, as much as I would like to say, and his brother would like to say, there's so much we could say, we are under a gag order not to talk about the case. And of course, they don't like the fact that the video has been disseminated, and so there's a court order now for the parties to the litigation, myself, my clients, not to be able to really talk to the press. But because the press is here, we're glad they're here. We're unable to really tell you really how we feel. But nevertheless, the struggle goes on. And I hope that the one thing that many of you can take from this peaceful rally is that there really is a need in our community. You know it's needed everywhere, but in our community to have those body cams. The city has voted, the money has been appropriated. Let's settle the discussion and let's get it done. Because the body cams could tell us what truly happened. We don't want just one side of the story. Let us objectively be able to view the facts and circumstances for ourselves. And then we can have some solace, some comfort in whether things were done the way they should be done. So without making any comments about the case itself, one thing that the Bashar case, Mr. Hassan, this young man who's no longer with us, could be a lightning rod for body cams and the need for them. Dash cams are okay, but they sit at a fixed angle. And whatever doesn't come into view of that angle, you're not shown. You don't get a chance to see. One thing about body cams is they give you a bird's eye view of what the officer themselves sees and reacts to. And therefore, we can make individual and personal judgments. This is America. Freedom of speech, freedom to have opinions, and freedom to speak of those opinions. And when these kinds of things happen in our community, the community is simply saying by their vote, let's have body cams, let's have accountability, let's have an opportunity for people to make up their own minds about what has occurred. And I want to take a moment to thank everyone out here. Someone has already indicated so many races and ethnic groups are represented here today. This is Anchorage. This is the melting pot that we live in, that we get along with each other. It's beautiful, this crowd out here. Thank you for coming out to support the family. They needed this. The one thing I can tell you is when I've seen Bashar's mom so broken, I had to do something.
Thank you, Rex. And next we're going to have our next steps. And so Mara from the ACLU will share, and then she's going to introduce Mr. Michael Patterson, who will close us out.
Osoyo, hello, advocates and friends.
Hello.
Hello. My name is Moira Pahala. I'm a lifelong Alaskan and the advocacy manager for the ACLU of Alaska. I wish I did not have to be here today, but I am honored to speak before you in honor of Bashar's life on behalf of the ACLU of Alaska.
Thank you.
As we all know, Bashar should still be here today. The fact that he is gone is tragedy and an outrage.
That's right.
As if Bashar's death were not traumatic enough, the experience that his family has endured over the last
Share
3
the
years
video.
adds to that outrage. The Hassan family has spent years without receiving accountability or transparency for the officers involved. Today we stand in solidarity with the Hassan family and all those across the state who have been killed or harmed at the hands of police. Video of Bashar's killing that recently emerged shows the power that police have over the lives of ordinary Alaskans and shows how militarized approaches to public safety leads to harm and lost lives. What we saw was a man being gunned down seconds after police rolled up. These officers were driving around Anchorage, sped to confront a black man who was not harming anybody and posed no specific threat to public safety. Assess the situation for mere seconds and then ended his life unjustly. We did not see an attempt to de-escalate. We did not see an attempt by the officers to put distance in between themselves and Bashar in order to assess the situation, and they did not need to act in such a reckless and dangerous way. This is not public safety. Is it safe for our communities that police are so primed to use deadly and excessive force when they perceive a threat? Is it safe for people who don't fit the police's expectations of what is normal behavior to be shot and killed? Bashar Hassan and his family deserve justice, and we need change. Police in Alaska have immense power and too often use it inappropriately, whether it's excessive force or failing to serve communities equally. Recently, a woman named Clarice Van Hardy in the ACLU of Alaska settled a lawsuit that was filed because the Nome Police Department ignored her report of sexual assault, as well as hundreds of other sexual assault reports, mostly filed by Alaska Native women. This is not just about excessive use of force, but about transparency here in Anchorage and across the state of Alaska, and it's about accountability. Police departments receive so much public resources and are assumed to keep us safe, but they often fail to do so. And when they do, communities must fight tooth and nail to hold police accountable or guarantee any form of transparency. Too often, that accountability and transparency is never achieved. So what are we going to do about it? We have power together. We as a community and as a state can come up with solutions that work for us. The fight over APD's body camera policy showed the need to organize and to be strategic in that organizing. This is why, moving forward, I must urge all of you to do more than peacefully assemble today. There is a clear issue in our state, from Anchorage to Nome and all in between, and that is that our systems of justice, which are based in westernized culture and colonization, are broken. Our police and prison systems consistently show us that they are unable to perform in a way that upholds equity, justice, and our individual civil liberties. In order to enact real change, we must show up every day and engage in decolonial and anti-racist practices in order to hold our institutions and elected officials accountable for the harm that they consistently cause in our communities. In order to push forward for a safer community for ourselves and the generations that will come after us, we must work together. I encourage all of you to take the time to reach out and join the Police Accountability Action Network, a community-driven advocacy effort in partnership with the ACLU and all of the organizations within the Alaska Coalition for Justice. Next, I ask that each of you take the time to contact your legislator to support statewide police reform legislation. Senator Elvie Gray Jackson and Representative Garen Tarr have sponsored police reform bills. And for anything to move down in Juneau, members need to know that their constituents and Alaskans across the state are with them and behind them. Take a moment to make that phone call, write an email, and show up to give public testimony when it's scheduled. If you need help contacting your elected officials, get in contact with me or any other organizer, and we will make sure that you know how to engage. If your legislator is the reason why these bills won't be heard or moved, hold them accountable and demand change as our elected officials work for you. And finally, vote. Vote in every election, both local and statewide. If your ballot is sitting at home and you have not filled it out, make sure you do so before next Tuesday and vote for candidates that will help Anchorage and all Alaskans hold police departments accountable. Ask your elected officials how they will enact change and demand that it is done. As a community, we must show up together. I want to thank the Alaska Black Caucus, the Hassan family, and all those who have helped put on this rally today. Together, I know that we can create a safer community for all. And with that, I'll hand it over to Robin. Thank you.
Thank you, Celeste, for your leadership and your organization. Thank you to the Alaska Black Caucus for organizing this event. My name is Robin Dern, and I serve as a board member for the Anti-Defamation League's Pacific Northwest office. Founded in 1913, the ADL's mission is to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and to secure justice and fair treatment for all. Our goal is a world in which no group or individual suffers from bias, discrimination, or hate. We are here today to remember the life of Bashar Hassan, to comfort his family, and to remember that this life was tragically cut short when he was murdered in broad daylight. Murdered in broad daylight, right here, by members of law enforcement. Our hearts and our healing go out to Bashar's family, to his friends, and to the entire community. We are also here today to renew our call for real change, to tackle systemic racism, to reimagine public safety, and create transformational change to ensure justice and fair treatment for Black and other marginalized communities. From Breonna Taylor to Dante Wright to George Floyd, which incidentally almost a year ago today, I had the great privilege of paying personal honor to at George Floyd Square when my husband and I visited family friends who ran a business there. And at that time, I could never have imagined that this would have happened here in my own community, that we would come across evidence that would bring us to this place right here now. It hurts me that we're brought together in solidarity under these circumstances. Each time that our community's trust in the very people who took an oath to protect us is eroded, and fear is stoked in the hearts of people of color across the nation, the trauma becomes worse and worse and worse and deeper and harder to undo. We must embrace a whole of society approach to ending systemic racism and all forms of hate in all of our institutions and across all segments of society. The time to act is now, and one way that we can do this is through reporting. The ADL has a reporting system and for years has been a partner to law enforcement to be able to provide more accurate incident reports so that the appropriate actions can be taken. Underreporting is a huge problem when it comes to proving that these cases are worthy of attention, and it is time for us to let go of the fear of reporting and
You
to
and
make
I
the
hold
phone
this
call.
too.
Obviously, first, you should report
I
to
see your
police
hand is full of
station, to
things.
FBI, to local authorities, to the state ombudsman. But the ADL is willing to take any report, anonymously or not.
Kusoo noqo
And
bahalkaagii.
when it comes to hate,
Kusoo
they are
noqo
there to
bahalkaagii.
fight alongside and to advocate for you.
Odayaashii sidaadoo
Go
kale
to
ah oo loo bilaabo lacagtii.
adl.org if you have a
Ninkii
fear of
inuu ii
reporting
geliyay u
locally,
malaynayo.
or if you feel that your
Fiir
report is going to be
YouTube-kayga.
ignored.
YouTube-kayga.
ADL.org.
16 qofood isna macquul
So
muuna ii
today,
gelinina u
here we
malaynayeen.
honor Bashar, and personally, and on behalf of the ADL Pacific Northwest and ADL nationwide, I wish that his memory is a
Duub
blessing to
ayagana
all who
duub
knew
dhilaa
him,
dhasheen.
and is a
Wax
call
ay
to
qabanayaan
action
male
for the
dadka
rest
isku
of us.
aadinayaan ilaa idinlada.
Hello, everybody.
Soomaalidu
My name
dadkay
is
ugu
Michael
daba marayaan,
Patterson.
dadka dhan ay ugu
And I
daba
don't know about
marayaan.
you, but I'm pretty fired up. How about, are you fired up? Yeah! Come on, come on.
Yes! Yes!
Are you fired up?
Yes!
So, we're here today because of what happened to Bashar and what happened to his family. And I know that the city won't apologize for whatever legal reason, or because they don't think it was wrong, or that it was justified. But I think as community members today, we should tell his family that we're sorry what happened to Bashar. His family deserves an apology, because what happened to Bashar was a crime.
Thank you.
The city murdered Bashar.
let's be real about that. They can say whatever legal analysis they want to use, whatever ideological framing they want to use, but the reality is that members of the government executed a member of this community.
That's true.
And then when the community asks for accountability and justice, what happens? Oh, not right now. Oh, here's a gag. You can't say, you can't speak the truth.
Yeah.
And so the reality is we have to ask ourselves, what is the purpose of the police?
That's right.
What do they do in this society? And then you have to ask yourself, what kind of society do we live in? We live in a society that devalues human life. It looks at people as dollar signs and as products and as and that people are a means to make money. And so, what do the police do? They enforce this social order on the rest of us. And so, depending on where you're from, what language you speak, which
wiilasha labisan waa ku mahadsan tihiin your time but little bit holding. Thank you.
And so when those police officers were driving down this street by that bus stop, they didn't see a person. They saw a threat. They didn't see a human. They immediately killed him. Immediately. And I used to be in the Army, and I'm a combat vet. And the way that the police treat community members here, I cannot even fathom. They don't treat people as if they're supposed to protect them. They treat them as if they're on a combat tour overseas or being shot at. And so when we think about what kind of society we live in, we have to ask ourselves, what kind of solutions do we need to stop this problem? And so let's be real. Body cameras are a tool. They are not a solution to this problem. And if police